Relay dissolve up. News alert out to 2. News alert out to 2.
Go all in on bringing sports gambling to Kentucky.
People that bet on sports,
I don't have any name tags for them off the top.
That's fine. Don't worry about it.
Calling the bill a sure bet.
20.
Eyes are on Friday as the data is indicating potential for a few strong storms. And I want to go through the timeline with the main threats.
We'll do the Q&A on camera 1.
Could Cardinal basketball have a new coach in just days?
Okay.
All signs point to yes. The
5. Stand by. News alert.
Down the talks between Kenny Payne and U of L.
News alert. Micah Q. Stand by camera 2. And dissolve. Go ahead and add the banner. Stand by BVO under.
This case against former officer Katie Cruz. She was indicted today on a civil rights violation, deprivation of
Stand by
rights
BVO under.
color of law.
Rel B
Cruz
take.
and National Guard members went to
All right.
Yaya's restaurant.
Stand by ME2A. Flag him to 1.
After curfew. This happened Sunday night into Monday morning, June 1st, 2020, right after the city exploded in a protest after the police killing of Breonna.
Do we want to lose it?
But these charges are not specific.
Stand by
for
ME2A.
David McAtee's death.
Dissolve.
DRB investigator Travis Ragsdale here to break it down. Travis?
Stand by 1. Under. We'll go to his name. Stand by 7. Take. Give me his name. Stand by XVO. Back to the banner. And roll X. Take. Give me ME2A with all 3. Stand by ME2A. Add the banner back.
And injuring her. That's where these federal charges come from. She was not charged in state court. She was
Stand by single. Stand by single. And then we'll go to E3.
In May of 2021, Commonwealth Attorney Tom Wine said it would be inappropriate to charge Cruz because
Camera 1, you have a quick turnaround to get to the weather center.
Could not be determined, but she is now facing
On cam.
this federal
Dissolve.
charge for a
Stand by
single
E3.
pepper ball that struck Michelle McAtee in the collarbone that night.
So this is all developing in about the last hour or so. We have heard from the McAtee's family attorney.
Put
Steve
A as your
Miller
source.
to
Or
say
stand by
that.
E3. Stand by
That is
E3.
correct.
Dissolve.
He said that Cruz, he said, quote, these charges are evidence of
Yes.
LAPD's complete disregard for its own policy.
Do we see Tom
and the
Lane?
safety
Tom's in
of
studio,
citizens
anchor
of
3.
Louisville. The city's denials of responsibility are just proof that despite claims of accountability and transparency,
Go ahead and give me all
nothing has
3
changed.
with A as your source.
There's going to
And
be
roll A
some
dissolve.
Facebook posts that will likely
Stand by
be
A,
part of this
full,
case. It's what
under.
Cruz said the morning before the McAtee shooting.
Correct.
Dissolve.
So as you mentioned, this was all ongoing during
Give me
the
single,
Breonna
single.
Taylor protest. This Facebook post from Katie Cruz, that picture there you see is of her and a protester trying to hand her some flowers.
Lose the banner.
Katie Cruz said she hoped that protester would
We'll go
get,
with-
quote, lit up with pepper balls later that day and as protests continue. So you can imagine
Put
that
B
her
as your source,
saying that
ME2A.
on Facebook publicly,
Stand by.
and then that night, later that night,
Dissolve.
firing that pepper ball that led to these charges will be a part of.
Stand by to bring in
this case
B.
moving forward.
Prosecutors will likely
All
make
3?
her mindset
Yes.
when she went to that restaurant a part of this case. Is she still on the force?
Rel B
right now?
effect.
Gilbert, we have learned that just in the past couple of weeks, Cruz was fired from the department during the internal investigation that wrapped
Stand by to
up
go to
several
reporter
months
video.
ago. She was
Reporter
found of
video.
Several policy violations for discharging her pepper ball gun.
And then we'll go back to single,
She was
single.
also found to be in violation
Yes.
of the department's
You can keep up
body
Mark's
camera
weather.
policy. She was not wearing a body camera that evening and
Stand by to
did
go
not
to single,
have
single.
it on when she went to raid and essentially clear that parking lot out.
Single,
the night of
single.
these protests.
So state
Put
charges
X.
cleared on. This is a federal deprivation of rights case.
Stand by
but there's
X
also
full
another
under.
civil suit against the city in this matter.
Correct. David McAtee's family is
Roll
suing
X,
the city
dissolve.
as well for his death.
Stand by, give me all
That suit
3.
is still ongoing. It was filed more than nearly 2 years
On
ago
cam.
at this point, just shortly after his death
Dissolve.
in June of 2020. It's still ongoing and will likely
Stand by
be
single,
ongoing
single, then
for quite
Mark's
some time
weather.
as well.
Lots
Single,
of
single.
back here, Travis
Stand by
Jones.
Mark's
Thank
weather.
you for doing it.
Mark. Camera 1, Weather Center. Camera 1, Weather Center.
Weather forecast has the seal of approval from the American Meteorological Society.
And out to Weather Center. Stand by weather graphics. Clean. Dissolve weather graphics. Sport news LEDs. Sport news LEDs. Camera 1, go to corner 3D.
The shower is approaching,
You're at the side.
and then
After weather.
Our low dew points just were
Actually, I'm sorry. Stand by one. Dissolve. After this, we'll have a sports animation. During the sports animation, we'll do sport LEDs. I said that wrong.
As noted, dew points are pretty low. As we move through the evening and overnight,
So during the sports animation, we'll do sport LEDs.
In particular, after about
Step to your
10
right.
o'clock. And then, as we go towards morning, you'll see.
She'll stay on the left side. She'll stay on the left side.
What others? That's actually fog developing. So do you think we can get some
Hey, Brandy,
fog as we go
page
towards
6.
daybreak? But clouds
I've got a
decreasing
graphic
by
for the
11
side monitor, but
p.m.
it says side monitor
55
vid.
degrees. Moving forward, rain, thunderstorms Friday.
Tom's on anchor
Some
3.
Severe weather potential.
Stand by sports. Sports animation. Sport LEDs. Sport LEDs. Stand by camera 3. Clean. Out to 3. Stand by to make your move. Stand by AVO.
About its new basketball coach
It is the
in this
graphic.
conference
Okay.
is set for Friday morning, and it
I don't know why
appears
it
that it
says-
will
Make your
be
move.
the guy who was considered the front
Stand by to
runner
push into
all
Tom.
along.
Stand by to add his name.
WW's Tom Lane is here with
Push
that
into
big
Tom.
news, Tom.
Stand by to add his name.
Oh, sorry.
Add the name.
Sorry about that.
Stand by AVO. Under.
Kenny Payne, it will be announced.
Good job,
as the
3.
Cardinals' next head coach. That news conference scheduled for Friday morning
Roll A,
at 10
take.
a.m.
Keep
Payne
E4 in the
played
side
at
monitor.
Louisville
Now we can do
1985
sport
to
news LEDs. Sport
1989.
news LEDs.
Mississippi native spent time in the NBA.
You should have an
Started his
E2
coaching
coming
career
up on a
as
BAM.
assistant at Oregon and was a top
Monica's
assistant
mic'd
at
up.
UK for a decade.
That'll be on camera
Taking
6 for
real in the
Monica.
top recruiting classes and developed big men. He has spent the last 2 seasons as an assistant with the New York Knicks, and he should be a very popular choice with former Cardinal players.
Stand by
In
3.
the fan base, Rick Bozich has been following this search very closely and will join WBRB News at 5 with more details.
Take 3. Stand by B.
Kentucky
VO.
presents
Banner.
NCAA tournament play tomorrow night in
Roll B.
Indianapolis.
Take.
Wildcats
Stand by
are the
X
second
sound.
seed
I
in
need
the East
sports in the
region
side
and
monitor.
open with St. Peter's at 7:10
Or no,
p.m.
keep E4.
Thursday.
Keep E4.
That game will
Stand by
be
to
followed
20 to
by
X
Murray
sound
State
under.
at San Francisco with the winners meeting Saturday. In his pregame press conference this afternoon, John Calipari was asked about the possibility of
Stand by
his former
X sound.
assistant being the new head coach at Louisville.
Roll sound effect.
First of all, he's a dear friend.
Stand by to lose
and I will
super.
tell you that they could not hire
Lose super.
anybody.
Stand by 3.
that would do
Tag.
a
Then
better
2 on a
job
2 shot. 2. Tighten up
than
just a
Kenny
little
Payne.
bit. Thank you.
Great coach.
20 away
great
from
leader,
camera 3. 3
great
tilt
husband,
down.
Great father.
Hold. 15 away from
Louisville
camera 3.
graduate.
Tag with his name.
I may say he should have been hired before there.
I'm rolling on Monica.
But you
5
know what?
away from camera 3. Tag.
They get him, they got the best of the best.
Take. Stand by camera
High
2.
praise from the coach. John Lewis will have a live report from Indianapolis on the Cats preparations on WBRB News at 6.
Take.
All right, thank you,
Stand
Tom.
by
Well, sports
6
betting gets another
with-
shot in Kentucky.
WDRB's Monica Harkins tells us why supporters are betting it will pass this time.
Take.
Monica?
Stand by A. VO. Stand by to lose her name. Go ahead and lose the name. Stand by AVO with the banner.
The average Kentuckian, and if they do that, there will be enough yes votes to legalize it.
Roll A.
this year.
Take.
The House panel
Stand by
took up a
B.
package of
Sound.
bills
Under.
to
Stand by 2
legalize
dissolve.
sports
I need a
betting
corner
this morning.
OTS
The
of
main one,
E3.
House Bill
Corner of
606
E3.
would legalize sports
Blank
gambling in
L1.
Kentucky
You should have an
and
E3
taxes
coming up.
on online
Stand by
betting
B.
on your
Sound.
phone. Supporters say it's already happening, so Kentucky needs to set up safeguards.
Roll B. Sound dissolve.
When you go
Stand
to
by to
bookie,
lose super,
if you
stand
have
by
a good
X.
weekend, you go to collect.
Lose super.
Your bookie
You have an
doesn't
E3.
want to pay you. Where do you go?
Not for this
What
one.
recourse?
Next story.
The answer is not. If that's the case, if and when we legalize it, that will be the case.
5 away from Monica's
The government
mic.
who will intervene on your behalf.
Mike Monica. Stand by X.
3 other
Sound.
sports
With.
gambling
Stand by
bills
2
also
dissolve.
passed in committee. One
Corner
of the bills,
OTS.
House Bill 609 would establish awareness on
I think camera 1 just mostly
responsible
focus on that
gambling and
graphic.
prevention of gambling addiction. Opponents argue
Stand by
with the
X
creation
sound
of
with.
House Bill 609, doesn't that prove there's harm in sports betting in general?
Relic sound dissolve.
Further evidence.
Stand by to lose super. Stand by
Advocates
6.
for the expansion of gambling understand that there will be victims and destruction to families.
Lose
and
super. Please
communities.
remind, or we need Monica to hold for
Broken
pad.
families,
Stand by Monica's mic. VO
increasing
tag.
risks, and untold additional social costs.
Mike. Stand by
Another
6
bill that
clean.
passed would balance the tax rate on different types of pari-mutuel wagering, like historical horse racing. And finally, House Bill 608 would outlaw the use of what's known as gray machines, slot-style electronic skill.
Stand by
wagering
6.
machines.
Take.
And
Stand by
it's
to
not
add
the
her
first
name.
time
Stand by
these
camera
bill
1.
Sponsors have tried to legalize sports betting, but they're hoping with all of the surrounding states.
Add her name.
already
Stand by
allowing it,
1.
Kentucky can too. I'm Monica Harkins, WDRB News.
Take one. Stand by
Monica,
A.
thank you.
Sound.
Ukraine's
Clean.
president made a direct appeal to a joint session of Congress today. Karen Kafa tells us the leader wants the U.S. to do more as Russia attacks his country.
Release on take. They can
President
sit
Joe
down.
Biden responding to a direct
Reset
appeal
L1
from
and 2.
Ukraine.
American people are answering President Zelensky's
Stand
call
by
for
BVO.
more help.
We'll have a new details
In
animation out of this.
virtual remarks before a joint session
Fallon
of
reads.
Congress, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky expressed gratitude to
I'm
Biden
done
for
rolling
the
on
investment
Monica.
so far, but asked for more.
Stand by Super Ed Super.
Be the leader of the world. Being the leader of the world means
Lose Super. 1 minute. 1 minute.
peace.
Many lawmakers were visibly moved by Zelensky's speech, and references to
Stand by
America's
Super.
darkest days struck a chord.
In one sense, his speech
Add Super.
was reminiscent of the stirring feeling all of us had in the
Lose
aftermath
Super.
of 9/11.
Biden signed off on an additional $800 million in security assistance to Ukraine, including anti-tank missiles and more defensive weapons. But among many lawmakers and at the White House, there is opposition to Zelensky's request for a no-fly zone over his country.
30
fearing
seconds.
it could lead to direct
Stand by
conflict
Super.
with Moscow. Lawmakers are considering other options.
There is
Add Super.
bipartisan support for sending a package that includes
Lose Super.
fighter jets and air defense systems.
No more supers. New details animation to BVO.
So that we can have a Ukrainian
With the banner.
no-fly zone manned
10 away
Ukrainian
from new
pilots.
details.
The aid announced Wednesday brings the U.S. total of assistance to Ukraine to
5.
$1 billion over the last week. In Washington,
Stand by new
Karen
details.
Kafa, WDRB News.
New details. Mike Fallon. Stand by BVO. Banner. Stand by 2 dissolve. Rel B dissolve. Stand by camera 3.
The other 2 people involved in the crash are expected to survive.
Tighten up just a little,
The
3.
wreck happened yesterday around 2 p.m.
Hold
at
there,
State
thank you.
Street near Kroger. According to ISP, a New Albany officer tried to pull over a Dodge Challenger for driving recklessly, but the car took off. That driver then crashed into an SUV as it was turning out of Target. Both cars spun out and hit a parked bus. No one was in the bus. The Challenger caught fire, killing the passenger in that
Stand by
car.
3.
Police say the driver of the Challenger and the driver of the SUV were taken to the hospital for their injuries.
Take 3. Stand by
A
XVO.
body found in
Banner.
Louisville Park has now been ruled a
Rolex
homicide.
take.
The body was found
2 on a
yesterday
2 shot.
afternoon
Tease
near
is
Park
next.
River
Sound on
at
A
the
for the
Union
tease.
Park. LMPD says the man had been shot to death. Police say the victim was in his mid to late 40s. There are no suspects. Anyone with information
Stand by
can
2.
call police
Here
at
comes the tease.
514 LMPD. You can remain anonymous.
Take. Stand by A. Sound. Stand by
Postal
flash.
Service has the same issues as many businesses right now. Not enough people to work.
Roll A. Sound flash.
Well,
Stand by
today-
number 1 to B. Stand by Fallon's mic.
No, I'll be off in 8 hours. Most days it's 9 to 10 hours.
Mike Fallon.
But even
Stand by
with Social
BVO.
Security pulling OT,
I assume Fallon
sometimes
keeps the
it's
read.
Not enough what USPS is doing to get to your mailbox.
Effect. Roll B.
And a motorcyclist
Stand by to fade to black.
jumped
Stand by
off
your
his
brake
bike
master.
To avoid riding off a drawbridge, why he says he didn't realize it was rising until it was almost too late.
Music full. And fade to black. Roll your brake. Good job, everybody. Good job.